You know that kind of obedience. You can't open your mouth to the audacity and say God said go. You know it's going to sound stupid. They sent me another mail and gave me another offer. This is the kind of prayer somebody will be praying for. He starts telling me, you're leaving. I can sit here and say, I don't have authority to talk about obedience. I still fail. I still fall short. And maybe that's what you're saying to yourself. Maybe to you, it's more of how does anybody obey a perfect God? Your record might not be perfect, but you have proven experiences, just like I do. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing a few experiences that have proven to me, and I pray will prove to you, that obedience can be a lifestyle. It's possible. If it's tough for you, if it feels like a Herculean task, I'll tell you how I have gone through life in such a way that on my own faith journey, I'm obeying. But you have to stick till the end. Deal? My name is Jasmine Haltonite Kuma, and with God on my side, let's get you inspired. I consider myself a growing Christian because obviously I'm still learning. God is still teaching me through His Word, still teaching me through revelation, through experiences, and especially experiences. Hey, this is where the fun has been. Fun now, but at the time it was happening, trust me, it wasn't fun. I'll share two experiences that sort of stand out. The first one will be leaving my job, my 9 to 5 for. At the time I even left it, I didn't know. I didn't know where exactly I was going. Let me backtrack. Between 2013, 2014, and 15, I was working with my mom's interior company, and I was sort of managing affairs basically. So in 2015, I got a job with another interior company, but this was a bigger interior company, and I was really excited to be there. Everything was going well, and then at this point, I was really already getting to understand how God speaks to me in a number of little ways. He had already started giving me instructions, and I knew that another job was coming. That's a story for another day. But long story short, I got into this other job through a recommendation from a mutual friend. The incentives were great for me starting off. The salary was good. It came with allowances. So this was really a big deal for me. So I knew this job was coming. So imagine me settling myself in well and knowing that, oh, this is really the package. God has really been good. God is really good. Yada, yada, yada. And just before the next year, 2017, he starts telling me, you're leaving. I cannot even begin to, like, this story in itself needs to be fleshed out. But I'm highlighting it because this was one of the first really almost destabilizing choices that I had to make as a young, growing Christian, learning the voice of God in her life and trying to obey. Nobody was sending me out yet when God was telling me to leave. But at the time he already started telling me to leave, the parent company was shutting down its other, excesses, I guess. What did I call it again? Redundancy? They're not saying they're sacking you, but they're telling you that because they need to shrink down, they have to let you go. I didn't know that yet. I only know the part where in my own cupboard, in my own quiet place, I have to leave. And then I get a call from one of the senior staff, and he was basically telling me this information that has not been public yet. And God being so kind, I already knew that God was just preparing me to know that I have said you go. This is it. Leave. So when he called me and told me, I now understood very well that, okay, it's about time for me to leave. But guess what? They didn't want me to go. Thank God, by the grace of God, this particular senior staff had worked with me. He had seen what I was capable of doing. And he was trying to give me an opportunity to still stay. Because whoever is shutting down and cutting down, they don't know me. He knows me. He's seen my work. So he and another senior staff, I've forgotten her name, amazing, amazing humans. I'm always going to be grateful to them. They called me aside and told me they first offered that they shift my department. So shift me from the department I was to another department. And this is me knowing that God is telling me to leave. So me thinking it will be easy, okay, they'll send me the letter and I can go. Here are two people out of the goodness of their heart trying to secure a space for me. How do I tell two French officials that God said I should leave? That was the first thing on my mind because I'm like, God, cannot come and be looking stupid. Secondly, I actually love it here. I had some issues at this time in the office, not me personally, but there were some things that were just unsettling my peace. But I did appreciate being in this office. As a young girl coming from NYC, it was serving me right. And I loved my boss, or I appreciated my boss. So I felt like I needed time. If you can just give me a little time, let me just get myself together. But he was saying, go. I couldn't say, God said, go. You know that kind of obedience? You can't open your mouth to the audacity and say, God said, go. You know it's going to sound stupid. I can't remember the words exactly, but I know I probably appreciated them very well, told them I'm really grateful. But it's fine that I'm okay going. And at this time also, God was working everything in a way that I didn't know where I was going to, but I had done one or two things with regards to acting. He was already talking to me about acting. He was already talking to me about the entertainment industry. And so amazing that one of these bosses had told me randomly that he thinks I am meant for entertainment. He feels like I should be in entertainment. I didn't have any job coming. It's not like I had a project that was going to take me for 6 months, a series or anything. I just knew that I had to go. Every time I got back from work, I felt like God was putting too much on me. I felt like, why are you testing me like this? What is this about? But I knew that this was what he was telling me because I already kind of knew how to obey him. I wasn't perfect. It's not like I wasn't failing, but I knew when he's telling me do something. I have a final talk with this particular senior staff. He cared so much that he didn't understand what was going on with me, but he had resolved that whatever it is that's doing my head, let him try his best to make sure I'm good. You've told someone that you don't want to stay and they're looking for another opportunity for you, but because you haven't told them why you're not staying, I can't say anything. I can't decline it. So what I did was I just told God that, see where he's sending me to. If I'm done with the interview and the pay is not good, then I'll take it as a sign. Mistake. I went there, did the interview. The pay didn't match up to what I was having here because, to be honest, the incentives and everything I was having here was quite good. I had already told God that if it doesn't match up, it didn't match up. And I respectfully told them I won't be taking the job. Guess what happened? They sent me another mail and gave me another offer. See, I don't want to use the enemy. This is the kind of prayer somebody will be praying for. But to the obedience God wanted me to obey, it was the enemy. The enemy was coming for me. It was like, oh yeah, see, oh yeah, see, oh yeah, see. And I remember one particular day I was in one of my big sister's house, and I was just walking around the parlor. I was so burdened. I was like, God, how do I go and tell these people? How do I decline this and tell this boss again that I'm sorry, I didn't take it, even with the great offer? Because I wasn't really telling them anything. But that's what I did. I turned it down and I told him, I'm sorry, I really appreciate the offer, but I didn't take it. I hope I did. I think I did. Yes, I did. Another example that stands out is having to move from Abuja to Lagos. Now, this was 2017 that I left this job. 2018, I went to Lagos for a film project. I auditioned for a project in Abuja, but the project was going to be in Lagos, so I went to Lagos. Long story short, I went on that whole project thing for almost the whole of 2018 and got back to Abuja. That is another story in itself. By 2019, another opportunity came. Mind you, this job that had taken me to Lagos 2018 had me meet my friend and sister Lulu. And that whole experience going to Lagos started our bond. Now, by 2019, another opportunity came. It was one of the series for MTV, Sugar. And I wasn't going to go naturally because I know how the film industry is. What's the odd that you go to Lagos for this big audition, because it's a big audition at this time. Everybody wants to audition for Sugar. You go for this audition and you don't get it, and you have to start paying flight ticket back to Abuja. So I naturally wasn't going to go for the audition, but my friend Lulu was going to go for the audition. In fact, at the time she was going for the audition, she was already having a leading to go to Lagos, like to move to Lagos. She had been in Abuja. Guys, if you're hearing noise, it's rain. In fact, I'm going to take my mic and just hold it in my mouth so that my voice projects more. Like I said, Lulu was going to move to Lagos. So she had already started her process of trying to relocate to Lagos. Eventually, I was going to go for the audition because now I had a dream to go for the audition. It was nothing more than go for the audition and come back. But that was also my fleshly thoughts, because my dream was not just talking about the audition. My dream was talking about packing my bags and moving. Again, on my faith walk, I was growing, which was not God's business. When I call you, answer, full stop. So I packed up, expecting to go to Lagos for this audition and come back. That was 2019. I stayed in Lagos from 2019 to 2021. Literally. Because the instruction was pack up and go. But I kept saying to myself, it's just for the audition. So it was one thing or the other. It was doing the audition, which is another story on its own. There's so many stories to my life and my journey with God, and I pray He gives me the grace to break it down. But it was going there, then waiting for the feedback, and while waiting for the feedback, doing another audition, then waiting for that one, then at some point not having any funds to return back, not being able to ask anybody to return back, I couldn't ask my mom to send me money to return back. It was nobody could send me back to Abuja. I was broke. I didn't have a job. Everything I had in my reserve had gone to one project or one thing or that or the other. I was just, it was, we have to make it here, or God, you package me back to my comfort zone and let me just be there managing myself. He knew that He was sending both of us there, and He wanted us to build this relationship we have now while we were there. We went through so much. On that journey, we went through so much, but this is not about that. Those were the two significant experiences when it comes to obedience on my journey while I was growing that I can share. There are a number of other ones, but these ones were very distinct because everybody around me was like, what's going on? Why haven't you come back home? Why are you in Lagos? Nobody really understood. Even when I tried to explain to some people that I thought, okay, they might understand. God has sent me here. It's my revelation. It felt very strange and awkward. What are you talking about? So I stopped telling people anything in terms of God. I'll just say, I'll come. I'll be there soon, which is not a lie. I know I'll be there soon. I just don't know when. And eventually I just stopped talking about it. Anybody that cares would understand and stop asking me. But that was, it wasn't the most comfortable thing to do for me because I was not buoyant. I wasn't in my comfort zone. I wasn't at home where my mom can cover my shame. If I don't have anything, I'm at home. My mom can sort it out. I was on an obedience walk. I was also still getting instructions from God to obey while in Lagos. So I knew that I had to be there. It was clear for me that I had to be there at a certain point. So I stopped fighting it. Someone would probably ask, if it took this much from you to obey, why is obedience important? Well, honestly, from my own personal experience, it's important because you cannot honor who you're not willing to obey. So you can't honor God if you're not willing to obey Him. Simple. In order for you to honor and respect someone, you have to be able to take their instruction. Anyone you honor, you will obey. If God expects from us respect and honor, then He's also saying, obey me. It's important that God can give you an instruction and you obey. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Meaning, whatever you want to do, for God. Go and tell people about God though, in the faraway lands. Do evangelism from here to tomorrow. If you are in a habit of disobeying God, even down to his word, talk less of his revelation to you. Because revelation comes from a place of relationship with God. If you don't even have a relationship with God, forget revelation. You will not believe him. You will not care. I love God, and I want him to know that I honor him, and I want everyone around me to know that God is priority in my life. The only way that will show is my obedience. I didn't care at that time. I cared, but I didn't allow that care to determine my path with God. What are my friends saying? What are people saying? It's okay, no problem. I know what God is saying. I will obey him. God marks that as your proof to him that he is above every other thing. Secondly, it's important to obey God, because if you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. Only these two examples I've shared, honestly, they are the foundation of the blessings that are still blessing me till today. My going to Lagos, I met my husband. Because of obeying, I met him. Because of obeying, I formed a relationship with my friend that has stood with me through the most important times of my life. The times that have mattered, the times that have been pivotal for my growth. She's been there. I established relationships that are still blessing me today. Because I went to Lagos, my creativity was fueled. The thing I am built for in this life that God has proposed me for, the fruit was birthed while I was in Lagos. Until today, I'm still on this path because of that obedience. So, to the juice, how can I obey God? First thing, love him. You will love the Lord your God. You will not put any other God before him. You cannot obey God if you don't love him. That is a fact. If you are still following God from a place of, my family is Christian, so I'm Christian, so I will obey God, it will not work. It can't happen. You would always succumb to flesh because you will love other things more than him. But the only way that can even happen is if, two, you have a personal relationship with him. So you can't love who you don't know. There are people that you love word of mouth, and there are people that you love because you've experienced them. You know what they have been, who they have been to you. You know what you have gone through together. You know them. So in order for you to love God, to obey him, you have to have a relationship with him personally. You have to have a revelation of who God is. You have to have a revelation of the death of Christ on the cross for you, that he came to die. You have to have that revelation. Let me paint this picture. You're in a relationship. You love your partner loves you, great. But when you transcend to a deeper kind of love for them, when you know that you can do anything for them, you can even take a bullet for them. It's only when you have actually had like maybe this epiphany moment where you realize that no, this person really does love me. Maybe you fall sick, terminally sick, and you see this person riding with you every day, no matter what. Or you just, there's something that always just sparks that makes you know that this person loves me. It's like, ding dong. No, you love me. Oh, it's at that point that you are ready to show them that I got you. I will love you. I will do everything in my power to love you. Most relationships don't get to that point. They don't get to that point where you actually understand the love this person has for you, because a lot of us are selfish in our relationships. Everybody's trying to guard their own, look out for themselves. That is why it doesn't get to that point until you get to the point where what God has done for you hits you, or you actually experience him, ask him to reveal himself to you, and he does. You cannot love him enough to obey him no matter what. I've literally had an experience with God where when he was done with me, I was crying. I cried and I asked him, why do you love me like this? What can I do for you to show you that it will never be enough, but I'll try? But I didn't have it carelessly. I looked for it. I stayed in his presence. I was earnestly looking for it. And he gave it to me. So till tomorrow, till next tomorrow, I'm not the person you can convince that God does not exist. I'm not the person that you can convince to do something when God has told me not to do it. I will not. No matter how foolish I'm going to look, by the grace of God, we die here. That's the only way. By loving him through two, relationship, experience, revelation of him. Thirdly, by obeying. How do you obey? By obeying. He said, if you're diligent in the little, you start hearing his voice. He tells you, don't go out today. You go out. Okay, he tries again. Tell mommy this. You don't tell mommy this. You cannot grow in obedience if you don't start in the little. Before he told me, leave your job, he had already been telling me small things, and I listened. There are other things he has told me that are bigger than that have been scary enough for me to feel like, what do you want me to chop again? But I obeyed. You conquer that, he rewards. But to whom much is given, much is expected. So you're not going to obey today and think that God will give you the same class test. No. So that's why you have to love him. And I think the last thing will be to pray for it. The Bible says, ask, it will be given. Diligently seek God. Desire him. Tell him that this is your faith walk. You're not here for the business, for the money, for all of that. You know what, God, I just want you. And to be honest, you can't deceive God. If you're ready for it, he will know. That's why most times he will get us to the end of ourselves. We would have done everything. The job is not coming. The wife is not coming. The husband is not coming. All the dreams and expectations we are expecting is not coming. When we now get to the end of ourselves, we're now like, Father Lord, oh yeah, now I'm ready for you. You can earnestly desire him. And in that desire, you will find him. And when you find him the right way, he will teach you how to love him. That is by obeying. The only way you can prove to God that you love him is through obedience. If Jesus did not go through the complete obedience, he cannot tell us that he loves God. Impossible. He obeyed, and after obedience, honor came to him. It's possible, but it's deliberate. Obedience is a deliberate walk with God. You earn it. You earn trust with God. Just the same way anybody that's going to trust you would have proven to them that you regard them, you respect what they say, you listen to them. There's so much more about obedience that I cannot share because I don't want this to be a lengthy video. But like I said, being God is very possible. It just requires that you are ready. You want it. Obeying God and being a useful tool for him goes beyond what you can have. When you tell God, I'm ready to obey you, you're telling God, I'm ready to be of service to you. To be honest, it's not easy. None of these experiences I've said was easy. It cost me tears. It cost me relationships. But I'm grateful now because I see that who I am is better off. And what I have is better off. You might have been on this journey longer than I have. Or you might know more than I do know now. Or I'm willing to share now. If there's anything about obedience that you'd like to share to encourage anyone who's watching this video, please drop it in the comments. Let's fuel each other. It could just be how you obeyed today. Please feel free to share. And if it's tough for you, you can check this video out. Trust me, this has much more about my journey to Lagos and all of that testing in obedience. And I pray it blesses you. But till we see next week, love and light. Mwah.